How can I politely decline her offer of being exclusive after knowing her past?
Just be honest. A lot of guys in that situation, especially if that's the only girl that they've got, or maybe she's one of their rotation, oftentimes will lie and give her a false sense that, oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to be exclusive and loyal to you, just to tell her what she wants to hear so she sticks around. And if you know you're not going to stick around for whatever reason, then you got to be honest. It's not fair to her to waste her time and give her false hope, especially because women if they want to have kids, they got a short window, much shorter than obviously than us guys have. And plus it keeps you from the person that you really want to be with. And I've seen a lot of dudes I grew up with is like they got like I know one of my friends, his dad had a very successful company, and eventually when he got old enough, he took that very successful company over. This guy was handsome, he was tall, he had everything going for him. And I remember when we would go out partying, if he didn't find a girl to take home that night, he had this one girl that was like a booty call. And he'd get home drunk, and he'd be a total dick, and he'd call her up at 3 a.m. and be like, hey, come over. And he was just an asshole to her. And then, in the morning, he's like, hey, you got to leave, I got to work. And he was just rude to her all the time. And he kept hooking up with that girl off and on for several years. And then as we got in like our late 20s, he ended up marrying her. He ended up marrying a girl he really didn't like. And so carrying that out a few years, it's, the danger when you stay with somebody that you know is not right for is that you settle. Cause especially as you get older, all your friends are getting married, you feel a little bit of peer pressure. You think, man, being single again and trying to find somebody. It's like, well, I'll just see how it goes. And then years go by, he gained a bunch of weight, she gained a bunch of weight, he slipped one past the goalie. Well, now she's pregnant, so he ends up marrying her. And all these decades later, they're both morbidly obese, their kids are obese, and they all look miserable. And it's like, I feel bad for the guy, but he made the choices that he made. And most people major in minor things, and you don't want to be 20, 30 years down the road living a life of quiet desperation, being in a relationship or living a lie that you don't really want to. You keep yourself from your destiny and what you're meant to do if you settle.
He got his karma.
Yeah,
for using her and treating her like that. Well, there you go. That's your wife.
Well, this guy, he obviously, he doesn't want to be with her, but he just wants to keep sleeping with her. I mean, shouldn't he have said in the beginning, I don't want a relationship?
Yeah, he's got to be honest. He's got to tell her, like, hey, I'm not interested in getting serious. I just, I don't feel that type of chemistry. I would like to keep hooking up, but, I don't want to be exclusive. But the downside when you do that is that she may be like, I'm all right, I'm out.
Yeah, but isn't he being judgmental? I mean, past is someone's past. I mean, she could not be like that anymore or changed her ways. And then,
Yeah, we don't know what the past is.
True,
but obviously
exactly.
It's probably not good if he's like, I don't want to get serious because of her past. It's like, okay, well, you don't want to be serious with her. So she's a friend with benefit, a fuck buddy, sex playmate. Just tell her. Just, I don't feel that level of chemistry or connection with you. I just like to continue being friends with benefits. But you got to understand when you tell her that is that, she may leave your ass and say, I want it all. If you're not willing to give it.
Yeah, don't be selfish and just communicate. Because I have a friend that was doing the same thing. She went out with a guy and it was kind of just like a hookup type of thing. And then eventually she realized, I want a real relationship. Not necessarily with him, but in general, she didn't want to be that person that just gave it up. She wanted something secure. So she kind of stopped talking to him. And eventually, when they hung out again, he was like, hey, I miss you. We should hang out and stuff like that. And she's like, well, if we're going to hang out, I just want you to know that whatever we had before is no more. I want someone who's going to take me out, treat me nice, go on dates kind of thing. And he was just like, oh, why are you acting like that? Why are you changing? Why are you being different? And he turned into a hostile guy and started making her feel bad for her new, improved self, And then she ignored him and she was like, you know what? I don't really appreciate the disrespect. I set my boundary and you're trying to cross it. And he kept going and going and started blowing up her phone. Hey, what's wrong with you?
Rejection breeds obsession.
Yeah. And I'm just like, if you just communicated to her, that's all you want. Maybe you could have had
Well,
a
he's trying to
reasoning.
browbeat her and make her feel bad, so
Yeah.
she will give him what he wants.
And that's
And,
not
you know,
okay.
That's
Like,
manipulative. It's
yeah.
a way to manipulate people with pain or pleasure.
yeah, and it's selfish. Like, if you don't see any future with her, if you don't want anything with her, then let it be known. Even if you might lose the chance of hooking up with this girl, like,
Yeah, the best way is tell her that you're just down to be friends with benefits, nothing more. But keep in mind at some point the girl's going to dip, and
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of cases where that happens, and then the girl eventually dips, and then as soon as she dips to another guy, then he's like, "Oh, I lost the love of my life. I got to get her back. Coach, help me out." And then I help him get her back, and I'm like, I'll tell you, about 90 days after you get her back, typically you realize that everything that turned you off is still there. She didn't change.
Right.
She didn't become a better person overnight. But because they got rejected, because she ended up going to somebody else, then they convince themselves that they're in love because she basically dipped out on them. Rejection breeds obsession.
right.
And then when they get the girl back, then after 3-4 months later, they realize, they start feeling the same way that they did before when they didn't want to make the effort. And then they end up ending it once again, because most of the time it doesn't work out. Because the reality is they didn't feel enough when they were with her that was the person that they wanted to make a continuous effort for.
Yeah.
And so those feelings come back when you eventually get back together. You can't make your heart feel something it doesn't feel.